that some homes are gonna double in price.
Yes. I would say we would have, that's really two questions there. If we're just making a mathematical change to stave off the state auditor, that shouldn't end up in any tax differential to the individual. So think of it this way. The calculation we use to determine how much any individual pays in tax is their value times the rate. So that's how you decide what you pay in tax to stave off the state revenue office. That's different from what we would do back in 27 or 28, where we would reset value completely for every property in town. When we do that, inevitably, there are winners and losers. There are properties that go up relative to the whole town, and they see a bigger tax bill. And there are properties that don't go up as much, and they see a decreased tax bill. So later, when we do all the properties, there's a shifting. Usually they're not too bad. We've been through it many times in Hartford. But for any individual, the shifting could be, it won't usually be a doubling in tax. Even if your value doubles, your tax usually doesn't double. But you could see, 35% tax increases. And then some people might see a 20% tax decrease. Revaluations redistribute the burden. And so we don't really know where that's going until we do it. But in the short term, if we're simply using a multiplier to stave off the withholding of your revenue, not revenues, of your reimbursements, that would be no impact for the individual with tax.
And what percentage rate would you suggest based on your evaluations already?
So if we're just staving off the state auditor, we're gonna be at about 53% the next time the numbers come up. So we only have to stave off the auditor. That only needs to be above 70. So if we went up by 50%, it would do it. We just took every value in town and increased it by 50%. We'd stave off the auditor. There'd be no point at that time to go trying to get to 100 because you don't know what 100 is at that point. And we're still looking down the road. But if I were to do it in 2025, with only what I know right now, I would probably use a 50%, a 1.5 multiplier. And I'm pretty sure that would get us over the 70. Maybe if we're a little nervous because the market is showing us signs that it's worse, it's getting worse, then maybe instead of a 1.5 multiplier, we'd use a 1.75 multiplier. So, but again, at that phase, it wouldn't have a tax impact because it would exactly be balanced by your rate. Yes?
If you make that calculation and apply it to the tax bills or however it goes through, is that another charge to the town, like an assessment?
Yes.
And what kind of charge is that? Because we're talking to try to avoid 28,000 a penalty or not getting money from the state. We need to kind of weigh that out.
Yes, and I don't have an answer for you right now, but it's not gonna be the $28,000. So, and the reason I don't have that is I'm working with the state to see what exactly we would need to do. How far down the road we have to go. But I think it's not like we're gonna charge you $28,000 to try to save you $28,000.
We could just sit there with a calculator.
Again, that part of it, this is a little bit more complicated because you got to deal with the fact that tree growth can't just be multiplied. You get farmland can't be multiplied. You get some other things that just can't directly be multiplied. I wish it were easy enough so I could just push a button and say it's this times that. Unfortunately, it isn't like that. But it's not like going to every house. It's not like rebuilding the market analysis. It's just it's like in a percentage of work. It's like a teeny percentage of work relative to the whole. It's also work that doesn't really get you much, other than out of the gun sights of the state tax assessor who would be withholding some of your money. And they back down on that a bit. I don't know if they've ever been exposed to it. There's 430-something municipalities in the state of Maine, and there's hundreds of them in this situation.
Yeah, but their budget, they have about $1 billion budget shortfall, they're calling it. They need the money.
So, pretty good point. I didn't come here saying we're just gonna hope for the best. We have a backup plan. We have a backup plan that we may need to implement next summer. Maybe we'll get to the summer of '26. Maybe we'll be able to show a signed contract for a reval and get a rider all the way to the end of it. I have answers to those questions. And I didn't give me answers to those questions. So last minute, maybe they have an answer and it didn't happen. So that's okay. They're working on it. They will. We have time. We don't have anything we can really act on until we get towards the middle of next summer. So.
You made the discussion about the 70% and you're forecasting down into the 50s. And how is that related to the real estate boom recently? Is that part of the formula or not?
So I only use numbers that I already have because I don't prognosticate in the real estate market. I've been doing this long enough to realize that if I expect it to go up by 10%, that'll be the year it doesn't go up. And so I just go with numbers I have. The 53%, I know it on two levels. Remember, I started earlier by telling you there's more than one ratio. So in the most recent audit by the state, the developed parcel ratio, which is not what we're talking about for the standards. Good thing to think about is standards is always the one that matters the most because it's the one that can be attached to money not coming our way. The other one is just an annual measure. That one's already at 55. Because I have the data today that I need to calculate next year's standards ratio, I know that that one's going to be 53. I have that. I am not projecting that. I'm just calculating with what I have, knowing what the state will do next year. So
Going by the real estate values in the state now as a whole, with the boom, is it probably, I guess I'm trying to figure out how you're going to drop down to 53% that quickly. And is the state?
it already happened. So let me explain it, how it works.
Okay.
Every year, we do a valuation for the town based on the assessments that we have. Even as of now, when we know these assessments are not at full market value, we know they're below. Pick your ratio, whatever you think they might be, and we could also look at the state's indications. But we know that number. The state takes our numbers, does a formula called the state valuation. It's a whole report they give us. There's a bunch of stuff in here. It's a formula they use in every single community. It's how the state equalizes one town to the next for the purposes of revenue sharing and school reimbursement and all that. They don't want to consider the valuation of your town as you declare it because you can manipulate that as a town and it's coming and going. All towns don't reval at the same time. When the state does their state valuation, they determine a total number. It's right there, 2025 and 225 million and change. That goes into the standards ratio for next year. So the 2026, now I know this is getting gobbledygook again, I apologize for that, but it's the nature of this industry. I am standing here in 2024, and a couple of months ago, I received the 2025 state valuation. And you'd say, why are they giving you 25 in 24? It's because the state valuation is a budgetary number that is used for the state budget process. So they need it in 24 as they work on the 25 budget. So it's named the 2025, but it comes out in 2024, and it's based on the data before that. All of that said, as of today, I know that next year, when the state calculates their 2026 assessment standards ratio, there's that important word, standards, they're going to use the 2024 municipal valuation, which we just did it. We just committed taxes, so we know what that is. And they're going to use the 2025 state valuation, and they're going to take the ratio of the two for the standards measure. Since I know both of those numbers today, because they just gave me the state valuation for 2025 like a month ago. I can predict what they're going to calculate our standards ratio to be next year. So it is going from 71.08, our standards ratio now, and next year it's going to be 53.15. Bunch of complicated numbers in that to get there, but the formulas are the same ones the state has always used. They're not moving the goalposts at all. And yes, that is the change that's occurring. And that's not into the future. That's not estimating or leading the ski. That's just taking the numbers we have.
How much pressure do you feel the state's giving you as an assessor to get these towns done in a hurry? You feel like it's
We'll see, won't we? If they give no relief on this, we'll find out that there's just no sympathy for the volume that has occurred due to no action by any town or any assessor for that matter. You know, we're watching the market. We're not making the market. You know, I bought a house 17 years ago. I haven't bought any real estate since then. So I'm just, you know, sort of impacted by the market like most of you. And so it's never, in the past, the only towns that got on the wrong side of the assessment standards ratio were towns that were being sort of really laissez-faire about maintaining any sort of assessing equity. Towns that did it sort of every 10 years were always sort of okay. They always stayed within the range. Towns that tried to go 18 years, you know, sometimes they would end up losing some funding. Some of those towns didn't even care. They'd just be like, yeah, whatever, we're not going to do it. So it hasn't come up that way. But it's here now, and it's not just Hartford. It's, you know, it isn't great because we set these in 2017, right? The market hadn't come back very much by 2017. Really, we got in before most of the, we'll call it the years of increase. You think back, you know, 13 was probably the nadir around here. Then it showed a little life. By 17, it didn't really leak, but it surely hasn't popped back. But then again, by 2021, we were in full-on growth mode, even in this part of the state. So we're sort of the, you know, and it came to Hartford, by the way. I mean, some towns didn't see, some towns have been dealing with this a long time ago. So the new values, higher values are here. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yes, and I think correctly, did you say that by 2027 we have to do an sort of valuation?
No. Typically, historically, we've done that every 10 years. It's as a matter of policy, it's kind of good to go visit properties because a lot of people make changes to their properties, don't get permits or don't need a permit for what they're doing. Over time, the data just gets old. Some people over a 10-year period don't maintain their house at all. 10 years later, it's all deferred maintenance and loss of equity because the house is a wreck. Other people over a 10-year period keep it normal, and then only the market changes occurred, and other people are constantly working on their property and making it better. So we historically have tried to go and look at individual properties every 10 years or so because it seems like the happy medium. It's not required, but it's in a pretty good rhythm. We think that the next step for Hartford, even if we stave off holding of revenues from the state with factoring, it doesn't address that other part, which is it's pretty good policy to visit the properties and sort of bring everybody to a new square. Now, if that didn't happen till 2029, there's no big, that's a flexible time window. 2027, I only mentioned because it was 10 years, because the last time we did it was 2017. But if that were 2028, I'm offering up a 2028 slot. So obviously, I'm not worried about the 10-year window going by. So, and that could be 2029 if it turned, and it, you know, in a year from now, maybe there'll be a significant real estate crash, in which case we'd be reevaluating this. But, you know, we also can't just hope, well, I would wish that on anybody, just hoping it happens. I mean, some people probably wish it would happen because the values are really high right now. And if you get a 20-something, 24-year-old kid looking to buy a house, this is like one of the worst times I've ever seen in my career. But I don't control that part of it. So no, we wouldn't need to do it in 2027. That's just where we naturally would have landed on our 10-year-ish cycle.
You just need a verbal commitment for 2028?
I just need you guys to budget money, and then we talk about it, when we can say, get a little tighter on a contract and see where this goes. So we don't really, I really just want you to be aware of it. That's the best we can do right now as a promise. And if you want to say move quickly, obviously, if we do something now, we're bidding out 2028 work at 2024 prices, so there's an advantage to that. I don't know what's going to happen. We sort of follow along. We give a discount to all of our towns relative to what it would probably cost you if you went out to some community company that doesn't know your town. But we also move it with the market a bit too, because our costs go up like anybody else's.
Ian, what did we pay in 2017? 80,000?
97.6, does that sound right?
Sounds about right.
76.
And right now we have 38,000 saved up.
So it gives you a sense, cost over time.
Yeah.
And part of it's, in this case, it really isn't because we're just busy anyway, but like right now, for example, if you, like we always try to accommodate our clients, right? That's how you have clients over a long period of time. But if another town wanted us to go do a job for them, right now, because we're busy, we have plenty of work, we would put a higher price on that because we could. Right? You can't really do that with long-term clients because then they're not going to be long-term clients. So there's a balancing act here. So, yes.
If we did raise our valuation, how would that affect our county and school tax if the other towns didn't?
So what's happening, regardless of what we do for the purposes of your commitment, what's happening is this state valuation where they use their formula to determine what they think we're worth. And so there is a relationship between the two, but it's not direct. So they're already using this. And to give you a sense of how not close they are, 2024, we committed on roughly 120 million of total valuation. The state is projecting us at 225 for this coming year. 124, they're considering you 225 because they're already baking those ratios into this calculation. And so this is really more about like adding value to your local assessments won't be driving this. Just like not adding value to your local assessments can't benefit you here. The system's designed to sort of take that out of the hands of the town. And it's not the greatest math in the world, but it's the same for everybody. They don't use one set of rules for one town and another for another town. So about the only thing that's ever come along that's meaningfully changed the distribution of value relative to the state valuation are the tax increment financing districts. So if you have a town, rural community, not a significant amount of business, and you don't have a tax increment financing district, then pretty much all the value in your town is recognized by the state as taxable value. If your next town over has a big development and some big business coming in or something like that, and they put it in a tax increment financing district, that value is sheltered for the purposes of comparing you to your neighbor, not in your town, but you to your neighbor town. Now, you don't have a TIF. I don't know what you have for TIFs in your county. I don't track them if they're not in the town that we work in, but that's about the only thing that shifts burden from town to town that isn't done formulaically, with a formula that's, checkable and repeatable. There's not a lot of room for the state auditor to monkey around with this. The rules are pretty strict. And so we all live with that. That's how they decide your revenue sharing versus, that's how the county, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not completely sure how the county divvies up the bill. I'm sure state valuation is part of it. Whether that's all of it, I don't know. Because I don't work with the county. We just get the bill. I don't help them generate it. So I don't want to speak too much about how the counties, I know state valuation is a number they have access to. I don't know if it's the only number they use when they're deciding what your bill is.
What about the school? Community, how do they do it?
It's by student, probably state valuation.
Yeah, that is a bit, that, first of all, you can get from school department, you can get a spreadsheet that actually has that in there. They all have it. And there's more in there than you'd think in terms of factors. But if that is a knowable thing, you just gotta take the spreadsheet, you gotta look at all the factors, you gotta look at where they got the data to populate that factor. But you can figure that out. State valuation is part of it. But then student count, I think they use some sort of like state-derived income numbers too.
If I'm not mistaken, it's a 75-25 ratio and 75% evaluation, 25% students.
Okay,
Which hurts a town like Hartford because we have relatively high valuation and relatively few students.
yeah, having that student count be a 25% or,
That's just, that's state ratio. As far as the last I checked.
all set? Well, thank you for letting me take up so much of your time tonight. I don't know how many of you are here listening to me, but I appreciate the fact that you were. So, thank you.
They all came for you. They probably all walk out after.
Yeah, I found that hard to believe, but
Thank you very much.
everybody loves
Oh,
taxes.
Peggy?
I just have a question. You were giving the amount of money that we already have set aside for the next assessment is 37,000? 38,000. So that means in the next 2 years before we have to pay this bill, we're gonna have to come up with about $56,500 per each annual budget, like 450 with a shortfall.
Yeah, let me comment on that. So, because we'd be looking at a 2028 delivery, revaluations always cross 2 fiscal years.
That's why I think 2 years now.
But not, it isn't in 2 years. But there's at least a 2-year window to have the payments.
Oh.
So,
We have to raise the money, is what I'm saying.
yes, but my point is that it's, you get a little more time than you think to raise money. Because we started, and we don't ask for the money when we start the job. We have a payment schedule, and quite honestly, we back due a lot of it, so a lot of it's not due till after. And in your case, you're already into that, like, it'll be fiscal 29 for you guys, because it'll be after July 1st, 2028. So what are you in now? You're in fiscal 25, right? Is that the way you do that? 24,
In
25.
some areas, it's different.
Okay, let's call it, you're currently in fiscal 24, 25. And that, our last payment, which will be a significant part of it, wouldn't be due until fiscal 28, 29. So that's a solid 4 years to go. Yes.
But again, I think I heard you say if we did the multiplier now, that if we went beyond if we went stretches to 12 years, that we might be able to get away with going another 2 years. Could we actually go to 30?
Oh, that, you could. Yeah, I mean, if you found yourselves in a fine spot, that's starting to push 13 years since your last. It just depends on,
Then you think that we would be not frowned upon by the state if we did a decent multiplier within the next year or so?
Yeah, the state's only real control is that standards ratio. After that, you could push it. So you could go up to 2030. The reasons you wouldn't do that would be, at that point, so you'd want to look at which properties, right? So if, let's say you had a subset of your property population that just kept going up, and another subset that kind of stopped going up or started going down, as those deviations get bigger, there's a fairness question to be asked. We're already running 53 cents on the dollar, that's on average, any given property, you know, you would want as a body, you would want as a group, you want, and we bring this stuff forward when the time comes, to look at the differences in groups of people. So if it turns out that you had, you know, a significant portion of your population and everybody's moving on the same tide, then that wouldn't be an improved decision to just put that down the road and get more time on it. If you looked and you started looking at some individual properties and you realized that, you know, their values, you know, maybe weren't too bad in 2017, but are now just ridiculous now. A really good example would be somebody who was constantly improving their house over that time period. And the house we were valuing has no semblance of the house that's there now. And that happens more than you would think. And vice versa. Can't forget that part either. People who are on hard times and their houses just start to fall apart, and next thing you know, it's a wreck. So anyway, that's kind of a local decision in terms of what is fair. But yes, could you do it without the state? Yes, 100%. Once you get your standards ratio up there, you're free from that restriction. You could ignore the standards ratio, lose the 28 grand, or whatever it is in the subsequent years, and move along merrily. So, yes.
I was huge problem, just raising it by a percentage, because people, you're gonna be busy with abatements, like, I don't even have this shed anymore, and
Yeah,
raise
well,
my tax,
once you start
like-
using, well, first of all, we believe that multiplier is something you do because you can't fit a more comprehensive solution in.
you
It
can
has,
charge extra for all the time doing tax abatements.
well, I don't think we'd have that many, and the reason is, I think that the multiplier, it magnifies the inconsistencies, but not to the individual. Like, so the individual doesn't see it. Now, it just magnifies inconsistencies, because if you use a percentage adjustment, let's say my value is really low, and my neighbor's value is a bit high relative to mine, and we're using a multiplier against those, I'm now whatever percentage, but I'm still low, and he's still high. The factoring is sort of a stopgap. It's better than losing money, that is, you would get from the state otherwise. Using it as a way to just keep going without resetting value probably isn't a good idea. It does have rough edges to it. It's not a panacea. It will come back there, and you'll look at a property someday and you'll just shake your head and think, how can we have that value on that property? And it'll be because back in 2017, it wasn't what you see today, and it just never went there. And keep in mind, in the meantime, you build a shed, you build a deck, you build a garage, and you take out a permit, we are going to your house, right? We're just not going to the houses where we don't know that happened. And we're not driving around just looking for shiny wood. That's not what we do. We go where there's a permit. So at some point you have to ask yourself, what percentage of the work in the town that is done to improve real estate is done, either doesn't need a permit or done without a permit. 13 years is starting to be a long run. But maybe it'll work. You have another question?
Yeah, people's exemptions are gonna be affected by delay.
So the exemptions require a little bit of mathematical thought. So you would be getting a $25,000 exemption, except we can no longer certify 100%. We had to certify 70-something% this year. And that's, I don't want to get too caught up in numbers and ratios, but yet another ratio is the certified ratio. So we've talked about the villa parcel ratio, we've talked about the standard ratio, but then there's the certified ratio. Every year we have to certify a ratio, and that's what your exemption is based on. However, if we were to do a straight up factoring, we would take your exemption from its low amount now. That would go up whatever percentage you factor by. But because the rate would be coming down, the benefit to you from that same exact homestead exemption would be the same. And I got a little math on that, because that's not intuitive, it can be a little bit hard to track, but I got a little math on that, that if you need it, I can send it to Leanne and she can forward it to you. How you can track that that isn't gonna matter. With that said, there's some other monies that come from the homestead that you as a taxpayer don't see, that come into us as we do the budget, that does benefit from getting that ratio up. But it doesn't directly benefit the individual on the tax bill. So. All right, I'll let you get to the rest of your agenda. It looked long.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Are you welcome?
All right, first we need to approve the minutes for October 15th, October 22nd, and October 28th. Selectmen meetings. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes for the 15th, the 22nd, and what was the third date? And the 28th. We should, all in favor?
It's right back to your last meeting. For the next time.
Oh, all right. Okay, approve payroll warrants for October 16th, 23rd, and October 30th, and November 6th, and approve warrant 10. Is warrant 10 in here?
You would just, yeah, that's warrant 10.
This is warrant 10. I would like to approve payroll warrant 16, October 23rd, and October 30th, and November 6th, but I want to discuss warrant 10, so can I approve the other first? Okay. So I'd like to approve Payroll warrants for October 16th, the 23rd, the 30th, and November 6th. All right, all in favor? I think they're all signed, Leanne.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so I'd like to discuss warrant 10. Back at our prior select board meeting with the, talking with the road commissioner and the road committee, we had agreed to rent a grader from Rent It for $1,800, delivery of $300, plus we knew we'd pay the gas, and then I believe it was $25 an hour for the driver. What I'm not understanding in the payroll warrant, in the warrant number 10, is why we're being billed $130 an hour for the grader when we agreed to pay the $800 plus the $300. Was the grader not rented by the town? Because I thought we asked the road commissioner to rent that as for the town. And why are we paying for a rock rake and a skid steer when I was under the impression the new grader could do it all? So I'm just looking for some clarification. Also, there's a laborer on there, and I know that we needed cones and signs, but I'm not sure what the laborer, besides if the laborer, was that the driver too? Or did the 130?
I was the one watching the traffic.
The grader, when I left here, I was under the impression that you wanted me to rent the grader, and I spoke to Leanne about it and asked her which way or what we do, and she said it would be easier if we did it the same way we do the skid steer. I own the skid steer and we build it by the hour. Which I didn't really care either way, but the way it's worked this time, I rented the grader in my own name and I'm paying them, and I'm charging you for the hour off. That way you don't have to buy the fuel, you don't have to pay the operator, it's all comes under me.
But that's not what we agreed to, Leanne and Ben. We agreed to, oh, sorry, Leanne.
So we were discussing the bill, hadn't submitted it yet. And I said I needed a copy of the rental agreement with the town and rent it for my daughter was gonna wanna see it. And then Bim said that they filled the grader with, they didn't use the gas car, they used fuel out of his tank. But I need receipts for that, so I said, yeah, it would be easier if you did it in your business, because I need paperwork.
But that was after he rented it. It wasn't rented under the town to begin with, when it was reserved. I thought that was the whole point.
No, I rented the grader in my own name.
But you're the road commissioner. We wanted it rented under the town, and then I thought that was the plan we walked away with.
We were confused here on what we were doing on the grader. I treated it the same way we do all the other equipment that we bought.
That isn't what we talked about. We sat right here and said, rental of the grader is $1,800 for a week. The delivery is $300 to bring it here and back, and $25 an hour for the driver.
Who did we discuss was gonna run the grader, and
You had said it's gonna be you or Brandon, because Brandon needs to learn.
Brandon ran the grader for me because he's on my payroll, and he always does. It was cleaner and simpler to do it this way.
But it's not, it's a whole lot more money.
Because it's more money.
Right, which is why we agreed, road committee, everybody had the pricing,
You do, that was wrong-
$1,800
that was
for
wrong
the grader
to me.
rental.
That was wrong to me when we left.
Well, it would have been if you, at the road committee meetings, which is the road commissioner job.
The road committee said nothing to do with my job.
The road committee already had the pricing, which we discussed right here in this meeting.
Yes, there was a discussion about the road committee, the price of the grader. Anybody can fall down there and get the price of the grader.
But we would have put it out to bid if we thought you were gonna do it that way. The whole plan was we knew what the cost was gonna be, which is what we're trying to do.
That's not, the way I left the meeting.
Well, that's the way I believe it is, everyone else in this room that was here that night, that's what the pricing we discussed, and that's what we were gonna do. We were,
Now, last year, you did not want to rent the skid steer yourself because you did not want the liability of it, of the town renting it.
the skid
Because the
steer,
grader's the same way.
the grader's not the same way, we were gonna rent the grader. We decided right here in this meeting that we were gonna rent the grader. And I asked who was gonna run it.
But I was going to rent the grader.
No, the road commissioner was reserving and renting the grader for the town. At $1,800 and $300
This
to deliver.
discussion started with me and Leanne when I asked about.
But that was after you'd already started grading.
The fuel card situation, getting the fuel, and I told Brandon, I said, just get it out of my barrel, drive, we'll keep track of it and go to town for the fuel.
I'm not gonna approve this warrant. It's just how I feel until I figure this out. This is gonna cost the town a whole bunch more. We could have hired somebody else. But we
Well,
put it in
the
your
guy-
hands.
The guy you were gonna hire was gonna charge you $130 an hour plus trucking and here.
$800, yeah. And that was it. That included the rate to drive it. And we would have been done with it versus.
I didn't charge you anything for the bill of them charging me to haul it up here, which I had.
At $130 an hour, absolutely, I'm glad, but we'd already agreed to this
You had no
pricing.
problem, you had no problem with paying the other guy $130.
We did, that's why we chose, that's why we chose you then. That's
So
why,
I done the same
the road
exact thing
commissioner-
that he was gonna do.
it's why we agreed to rent the grader, pay the $300 delivery, and $25 an hour for you or Brandon to run it. To change the whole pricing and the whole factor because of some gas.
I treated it the same way that we treated the skid steer last year.
But that's-
because you did not want to run it last year.
This is not what we decided in the meeting, I'm sorry, but this is not what we decided in the meeting, and it's because of that, I am not gonna approve this warrant for what's
Well,
here.
you are the queen here that
No,
runs the
I'm
show.
not, no,
So
I'm just trying to agree and go with what we had already
your
agreed on.
little group is getting smaller all the time, so there'll be some changes.
I
The
have.
guy over in the corner, this
What is
morning-
the difference?
the guy over in the corner that's shaking his head up and down, and giving it a hand signal, you seem to be getting most of your input from him, down on the
I'm
end.
not even looking at anybody over there.
What is the difference?
It's really not gonna be that much difference once you figure it out.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, what is the
If
difference?
we're talking
So-
about it, so
The $130 an hour for Ron, the estimated time it would take him to do our roads.
No, she's talking about
Talking
the
about
difference,
what's-
right now, we were supposed to pay $1,800 for
what's
the
the
week.
difference between what
And-
we anticipated and what the warrant says?
Well, the warrant doesn't even cover, the roads aren't done grading yet, they've only done it 28 hours, and they've added a bunch of
But
other
what is the
costs.
difference? You're saying there's a big difference and you can't.
I want time to look at it, it just was put in front of me tonight, Lenny.
What are you saying,
So-
you added a bunch of what?
So I would like time to look at this and analyze it and talk to Ben.
We had the rock rate count, because we've always had the rock rate for the grader when we do it. The laborer was watching the traffic, and when there was nothing going on, they were putting in some culverts out. A lot of these were dead-end roads, so, Emily watched the traffic and cleaned into some of the culverts.
So we sat here and talked about the grader for the 1,300,
How
for
many hours
1,800.
how many hours cold did I charge you for the
So
grader?
I'm gonna take time to review all this, so I'm,
What was the town's charge to insure the grader? If the town was gonna rent it, what did you get for a price to insure it by the week or the month?
it was $1,800.
No, insurance. That's the rental.
Running
If
it,
you were gonna, if the town was gonna rent it, how much did you check into to see what it was gonna cost to insure it for that time? We've been here before too.
So, from
When you
my
read it,
understanding,
what
would
was
you
the
guys
rate?
let me answer, please? If you wanted the answer, I'll tell you.
I didn't hear what you said, Hammer lady.
I just mentioned that we were given the $1,800 rental price, the $300 delivery, and $25 an hour for the driver. That's the rates that we got, and that's the rate that you agreed to while we were sitting here. I asked you who's gonna drive, and you told us, BIM, it would be yourself, or it would be Brandon, because Brandon.
Well, you go ahead and take
Would you
your
let me
time and
finish?
look it all
And then, we also talked about, well, a brand new grader can do a lot more than the old grader could. And
over. Yeah,
If you know how to run
if you know how to run it, you said you guys would be fine. But I see a lot of other things on here, so I want a chance to look at it. I just saw this when I sat down. This was not ready when I picked up my package on Saturday.
whoever says that
And
if you
can you
know
see
how to
this?
run it, the running it's got nothing to do with it, it's about half the weight of the other one, and it won't do it. You got a lot of professionals around
So
here.
what's the process for holding up the warrant? Or holding up some of it, or what?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, approve what you want, not approve what you want. Just say it.
So we don't need to hold the whole warrant, or what? Okay,
Go right ahead.
I would like to-
hold up the warrant.
What about the insurance
Take your
question I
time.
asked? I asked a question about insurance.
right, I don't
We're gonna
know.
look it over.
We're
But
gonna
but I'm
look
just
at
saying, if at that meeting you planned on renting it, you must have known what the insurance was gonna be. Or he was gonna rent it and put it on his insurance.
it was gonna be
Like I
insured
always
by
had
the
to
town, under their umbrella policy.
That's not how it used to happen. I always used to insure the stuff when I was a road commissioner.
So when you rented from Rent It, you had to insure it?
Correct.
Because I've rented many times and I never had that all.
You probably could afford to buy it if it gets wrecked.
Yeah, that's not the topic. The topic is.
Every time I rent a piece of
When I
equipment,
rented
Okay,
from
I would
them,
like
they
to-
have-
Point of order, we're gonna take, I would like to make a motion to have a chance to review this. And we're meeting again next Tuesday when we can,
The whole thing.
unless you want me to go one by one by one.
No, that's you.
What do you want to do?
Go ahead and take your time.
Just do the very question. Approve the rest. We see that.
You can just right on that front page. Make a note on the front page what you don't want to include.
Well, I think there's an invoice in here for Dakin Road. Is there a separate check for that? Or is that all together in one check?
Probably together.
Because there's no reason to hold that up.
You didn't pay that one.
We didn't already pay that. Did we already pay Dakin? The
No, I don't
invoice is
have
in
it in front
here.
of me.
First time around.
I thought hey, Ben, have we already paid for Dakin Road or we have not?
I need to know what you said.
They repay for Bacon Lane or no?
First time.
I think I'm saying Tuesday.
Does it pay for Bacon Lane?
Did they pay for Bacon Lane when we brought the
Oh, well,
gravel in?
yeah, that was on the
Okay.
warrant before when we did the gravel.
I just,
It's in here.
what's
What's
the
it?
on it? I can't see.
October 19th.
Right, we put gravel in on the back a couple of weeks ago, when he was grading, he went up and graded Bacon Lane again.
I paid it 11.9, there should be a check for this.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking.
You already paid me for putting the gravel in a couple of weeks ago.
So we did, was it last year or the year before? Sometimes we have sometimes the town would rent a machine, sometimes McNeil Farms would rent a machine, sometimes we'd pay an employee to run the machine, sometimes.
Back and forth.
So it is simpler just to have it one way or the other. And plus, we didn't have a contract. I need a contract before I
Wait,
pay a bill. That's why we had, I told you.
You don't have a contract right now with Granite. I have one now,
It doesn't matter, we agreed in this room to rent from Rent It for the town.
Yes, we did, we agreed to rent the grader, and we needed to go to rent it. If you take your time, you think it over, you can hold up all of my checks.
I don't want to
Take
do
your
that.
time. I
It's
don't,
not the
no
plan.
problem. I think he had 3 hours on that bill was a skip deal, but that was working on the end of Church Street and some other things that he done. He had to go get it once because there was so much sod and grass and they ended up over the Cowett Road. That you had to go and just get that out of there. When you grade these roads this time of year, with all that grass, leaves, and shit, and you can't pull up in the road. You've got to walk right it out.
$600 invoice.
I'm getting sick and tired of you people trying to run this whole show. I've handled these roads for years, I've had my own budget, I watched right where we were at, we knew exactly what was going on, and then July 1st, the new one came in here, and wanted to be a hero, and this is when you two had already made your plans before town meeting out of the town office building, which is an illegal thing, and you jumped right up and
Thank
put a hold
you.
on the money.
Point of order, please.
Oh, yeah, make it happen.
I see a invoice out here for 600, but I can't figure out where it goes. I don't want to hold anything up unless I have a question.
Everything's listed on that front page, the front two pages.
Well, that's for the signs. Okay.
Anything in the future that we do, they have to have the grader again or another piece of equipment. I either own it or I'm renting it and I'm building that. It's a lot simpler.
So I would like to approve the warrant, including the other McNeil Farm work on with the sign installations.
Is it all in one check?
No, it's a separate check. It's a separate check. Hold on.
Have you done the math yet, see what the bill versus renting it versus the hourly rate?
I'm actually going through the warrant right now, so I can do the math, which we'll be reviewing. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve all the invoices in here, including the signage from McNeil Farms that they installed. And then I want a chance to review the grader work versus the amount we approved originally. Did you get that, Leanne?
Well, it should take about 5 minutes.
Kathy has seconded that. Kathy, anybody, all in favor? Okay.
Hey, we got a question over here, she got her hand up 20 minutes.
Question, we're having this discussion back and forth. You just approved minutes from the previous meeting. Can you just refer to your minutes and see what you actually discussed? That's why we have minutes.
We did,
You did,
we
okay.
did, it's in there, approval of rental of grader at rented.
Okay, I'm just saying, I mean, you said that, but I didn't see that it was referenced to it was actually came out of this. Because we don't see the minutes until after the meeting, so we don't know.
Sorry, Peggy.
I know, just saying.
Yeah, awesome. I thought that was you that just went to the restroom. Yes.
Hold off everything till open session and just move on with the meeting. I'll let you guys get your work done and then we'll do open session at the end.
Okay, well, it's not, we still have a executive session after the meeting too, so. All right, RSU 10 report, which I believe we received. Aaron, did you get a copy of the RSU 10 report
Yes.
to school?
Why do you ask?
Because I love that you took an interest in school stuff.
Yes, I guess. And that one found, you know, it's probably all.
So Art, did everyone get a copy of the RSU 10 report? It's awesome to get them. We requested, we never used to get them before, so if you get a chance, look it over because there's a lot of stuff going on.
We can meet soon.
Yep, they were meeting tonight. Okay. Great, road commissioner report, which I believe is in my pile too. Enforcement, commissioner. And complaint detail. Okay. Okay, it looks like, I know you've been working with the Rileys, and I saw a draft on the turnaround easement. Is Mr. Riley?
We're not accepting that the way it's written. I'm meeting him in the morning and we're going over that because it's not written the way, the area that we want.
Okay,
He's here, I've already spoken with him, and I'm meeting him and we're going to go over the area. Because what's written there is not the area that we want.
okay. Do you think you'll have it finalized by next Tuesday?
I think he will. I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow at his house. We're gonna actually point out the area. Well, Kathy and I were already up there talking about it once. And we talked about moving, some material that's in the way that we really need to turn around.
Well, I know you want to move gravel out there, Viv, we just want to make sure we
We
have
need
our.
gravel in the road.
Right, I know, and we just needed this done so that we're doing it all appropriately once. Great, good.
I'll be back in
Are
the
you-
spring.
Is someone going with you tomorrow, or are you going by yourself? Do you need Kathy to go, or
Kathy can come if she wants.
you want to go?
I told you back in the early spring, I had no problem if we accepted that road for winter maintenance, but we gotta put some gravel in there if they did accept it. And
So,
here we are in the middle of November, and
right, waiting on this, which is great,
I
once you
don't
get it
know, I
finalized.
understand the turnaround easement, but we're talking about the actual town road that needs.
What if we didn't get the easement, we wouldn't be plowing? Which is why the easement has to happen, so we have a place to turn around. can't just stop at their house
Even
and
if it's a
back.
summer road, it needs gravel, people are gonna be hitting their cars on them rocks, the road there, it needs some gravel.
So I'm thrilled that you're gonna get this done so that we can put some gravel out there.
What time you going, Ben?
Well,
What time you going in the morning?
what time do you want us to go? 10 o'clock?
Sure. That sounds good.
All right.
So we're hoping to get this all in place. Hello, thank you for coming. Because these are things that we require, and when they're not done, we can't move forward. The liability is a big problem, so,
Sign it tomorrow.
great. Sorry about the fire, is everything okay? Yeah. All right,
So after he gets his sign and everything, then we give him permission to start on some gravel.
when we're on his,
One thing at a time.
we'll have the easement.
Let's get these.
There's no reason why I can't start next week. After we do our, yeah, but we're gonna do work order,
That's
right?
what I'm just wondering about.
But we don't want them starting until we get this in.
Right, we have in future, he doesn't show him what to do.
We just started a work order system. So, yeah, right?
But building permits, that's not necessarily.
Okay, so you already ordered a tar patch, Ben?
Yeah.
I thought at our meeting that, you had said that we could hold off on that.
Well, I was thinking that we could be able to get more on that, but we've got a couple of culverts now that have been changed, and we've got to tap that in. Plus, there's a couple of holes on Gurney Hill that really need to be taken care of. It's gonna use the multiple tap.
How much did you order and what's the price on that?
He didn't leave me a slip, and I told him to put it in the salt shed.
Didn't look like a
It's
very
just
big load.
a wheel load, probably 20, 25.
We might need more, Ben, for Pratt Hill. So we might need a little more for the Pratt Hill culvert.
Pitcher has that in his estimate.
Huh?
The pitcher has the tar patch in his price, he's paying for that.
Maybe we should have it.
If it's in the specs.
Yeah, he has $30,000 worth of materials for that job on his contract.
Once it's in the specs, he'll do it, I'm sure.
It's not in the spec, but it's in his contract.
Materials, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he just put a bunch of gravel down the other day too.
Huh?
Okay, Bim, let's see, to clean culverts and washout turnouts. Will he be able to get that, Bim, that invoice for the tar patch? Will that come directly to Leanne
I
or?
think you'll probably, how much was the last 2 loads we bought in? How much was Stevens' check? I thought I heard you say 4,000. So
It's like
that was the 2 trucks.
the one in June, I think was 6.
It'll be half that.
It's gonna be whatever it is.
Okay. All right. Next is a road committee report. Is the road committee met?
No, we're gonna be meeting shortly, and, we're gonna be talking about getting some reflective stuff for some of these culverts. So we'll be meeting for a couple of days. And then we'll give you a report.
Get what? I didn't hear
The
you.
reflective, like, 140, put some reflective, tape, you know, the big signs with the poles that you have. You don't want people driving off those bridges. So we're looking to get some reflective signs for the big culverts and where there's a drop off. Yeah, the markers that,
Has the road committee been looking at the gravel on Pratt Hill Road?
yeah,
Okay, so when's your next meeting?
the 18th.
18th, okay, great. Constable report.
Hold on, what percentage of the job does the road committee think is done so far on Pratt Hill Road?
Well, we haven't been there in a couple of weeks, so I guess you'd have to give us a chance to go look at that. we'll have a discussion between all of us before we actually go through
It's
this.
supposed to be
Because
done.
it's a contract, and the guy has a contract, and it takes X amount of time to do it. So whether it.
You want it
this
there
much,
when they roll the
Point
check.
of order, please. All right, constable report.
The only report I have is, we contacted every the homeowner for title road, we worked with the, mowers in the ditch. And the, homeowner actually looked at me, and we did the ditch. That's it. So, we get all the way here.
Great, thank you. Thanks for doing that. Code enforcement report. I believe it's out on the table too. Okay. We also received a complaint, and I believe that's already been addressed. It's,
The new complaint that I just gave you.
I already gave you that this afternoon.
That one's
We
wrong.
discussed it, and I called Craig up and talked to him, and I'm gonna meet with him again tomorrow. I told him we were gonna be down there this week and get that done. So we gotta clean that ditch, it's a big hill, because it's all full.
okay. What about the one with the trees? I know there's some sort of,
I took that off the agenda, basically,
what's that? Oh, okay,
until you tell me to put it on, because there's a response from.
okay. Yeah. Oh, we'll put that on the next agenda. So we have more time to look at that one. Okay, is there an ACO report? Did we get anything from her?
No.
I do know that she was doing some goat research and talking to folks. Planning board report.
Okay, so, let's see. The planning board, we have been working on organizing all our materials to standardize our forms and our procedures, and we're starting to date everything so that we can plan in the future to review everything, like every 5 years, so that we know exactly what we're doing, and I would make a suggestion that maybe all the boards and committees in the town do the same thing, so we have standardized procedures that can go on in the future for future members who are in the different committees and offices.
That's a great idea.
And we were working on the permit database and decided that the software we have been using is really not usable. We need to have something on the internet. And it just occurs to me that Leanne already scans in the shoreline zone applications. How much time does it take to scan in an application? And
And where do
you
you
have
store them?
them organized on your computer after you scan them in so you can find them again in any way?
I have a scans folder, if it's nothing I
It's just in the
have,
scan folder, okay.
with a million other things.
So, looking at, after having talked to Bailey about how to do computer stuff, and been thinking about this for well over a year, all we really need to do is to scan in the permits that we have in that town office, and we just need a database format to access each one, index them by, map and lot, owner, address, and date. So we can index them by maybe those 4 factors or something else you might look at and decide is important. Maybe like plumbing versus a housing permit or something like that. We just have to index them that way, and we can get all the permits in by just scanning them. The software was going to be typing in all the details, and that was too cumbersome to do. And then once we get the permits in, then we can start tagging those files with all the applications we have, so we can eventually move all the stuff from the closet all into a big electronic file. It took me a long time to get to this point, but I figured it out. We just need to then, get you to decide if that's what you would like to do to, get everything in line. And then the questions to ask, I don't know if you use your IT person, but I was talking to Bailey, would really be where we store it. Do we store it on a computer? Do we have enough space, and how much space it would take? Do you store it in the cloud? And how to maintain security and access.
And backups, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We store for backup. And then, we were talking before about putting things accessible through the Weebly site. And we just have to decide how much is totally facing public access versus maybe some password protection, not to prohibit access, but so that we know who is accessing the data on certain levels of things. That's all I'm suggesting. So
that's what we're doing so far, we're thinking about organization. Each time we meet, we don't have applications, we're going through things, forms and things to try to make sure we know everything we're gonna put together from the planning board aspect. But we're gonna need to have some input from the town at some point to do this.
I like the idea of scanning the documents, plus the old documents too. That means everything would be standardized. And you'd be able to see the cool 1800s documents that,
Exactly, so we just
and
have
who
to
signed it.
decide to start to do it because, Judy Campbell was sitting over there typing everything in. So instead of just typing in, you just have to have some time go over, maybe do, a few lots at a time. How many maps? We have like 26 maps, to go through the lots and the maps. I went through them all, that nice little thing that I hung out wherever it went, Just takes time, and dedication to do it. And I know it's later on your agenda is the money for the LD 203, and just a reminder, you really can't address that since the town's already decided they didn't want to do the building lots ordinance standard revision. You really have to do a comprehensive plan first to decide where you're gonna have to use them. You might want to use the funds for something.
Thank you. Ordinance Committee, I don't think they've met yet, have they?
Tomorrow.
Next week?
Oh, this week.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow night. Great. All right, any news about the fire ward report, except for we know somebody had a fire? But everybody's okay. All right, treasurer's report.
There's the bank reconciliation. We had our auditors come for 3 days.
Can everyone hear Leanne?
No.
Can you turn that way to tell them? Not that way, that way.
The auditors were here for 3 days, the week before election. We're not quite done, we'll have some journal entries to do. It was same company, new person, and this person saw that we purchased $16,000 of winter sand in June. And she's saying we have to take that out of current year budget because it was, for next winter. We don't put sand on the roads in June. So that's gonna hurt us a little bit.
You did a contract for the whole thing?
So in other words, we shouldn't have waited?
We wouldn't have got the same price though.
So which
We
way
just
is
have to
it?
take it out of this budget. But the sand.
What if we had leftover sand? She wouldn't go, let's go count the grains and take it out of next year's budget.
There's also revenue that came in that belongs in, we received last year, but belongs to this current year, so we're gonna do adjustment for that, but that's not gonna affect anything right now. Election night copy broke. When I was there at 10:30, 11 o'clock to scan all the results in, I had to type them.
Did you hear that? The copy broke election night, so she had to type everything in to report to the state, the election.
But they came
Stuff.
Thursday and fixed it, it was under warranty, so that's good. But
But the state police had to come and pick up the
Friday, yeah,
Friday, I was here time.
we have to obligate the ARPA money before the end of the year. We have to report on their database where the money's gonna be spent. We have $39.91, $3,991 for the beach. We have to obligate that for something. And $73,653 for culverts or anything to do with the erosion. So I have to tell them or enter where that's gonna be spent by the end of the year. That's it.
Okay.
I'll put the offer on the next agenda.
What's that?
Offer on the next agenda.
We gotta get the rec committee involved with that. Yeah. I have to reread this since I first thing, seen it. Did we do well with our investment again last month?
Our balance is a little low until December
Yeah.
1st. I think it was under 5,000, 4,000 something.
No, I saw like 4,400.
It should be right on that page, your hands,
This one? This one.
one, yeah, at the bottom. Interest.
So for those of you that remember that we changed banking and did our sweep account with Northeast Bank, it's been a big significant amount every month coming in, and last month was $44,935 that we earned on our money, which we weren't doing before. So that's really good.
But interest rates made.
Oh, yeah,
They are
interest rates, yeah. We still made that. And I'm not gonna make it extra, it's good. But we all need to sign it. Moving on to the risk management grant. Do we have anything besides bank reconciliation? That's what we just initialed.
Yes, so we got the grant for $263. It covered the 2 barriers, whatever you call them.
Like a baller on the ground, right?
Yeah. You should have asked for more.
So Leanne had applied for a safety grant and we were approved. Basically it purchased those bollards on the, ground that are right in front of the town office. And, hopefully that'll stop anyone from, unless they're going full speed, it will stop them from going through the office again, we hope. So, was there something else ordered besides those 2 things?
I had planned to order some even say cameras.
Yeah.
But you couldn't apply for 2 different things that weren't related, so,
Yeah.
and you already approved.
Yeah,
The
the
software.
safety, yeah. So, and thank you, Steve, for, installing those. Great. And thanks for that grant. What's that? Yeah. Do you think they're too close to the building?
Yeah, somebody's front end of the building before the tire hits that
Steve, can you look at that?
area.
Okay, so what I did was I lined them up with the loading box, and I measured with a tape measure from the inch front tire of the car to the bumper of the car, and your car was not hitting the building. So if I move them back, however I move them back, you get a truck like mine or Jeremy's, you're gonna have your bumper in the street. So I don't know how far back you wanna go, I noticed you mentioned 4 feet, I think, like half feet, sorry. And I measured that, my bumper and part of the back part of the truck would be in the road. If you park up against the building, so that's why, you look at it, but also good plowing. People, he can't get close to the building, the snow from the lower of the roof, there'll be snow up against the whole building and,
We just want them to be as effective as possible. I'm assuming if someone has a much bigger vehicle, they're gonna park where space is limited anyway, but I just wanna protect the building.
Right,
So they're
I'm
installed.
really, you're saying, I line them up with the loading box, so So, the form, get your voting box,
Yeah, I saw the voting box, yeah.
line up the vote, that stuff, you know, along with that, looking at straight, so it's all lined up. But,
Right, I'm more concerned with not so much the lineup, that they stop the car from going into the copier.
I just think that probably might get a false sense of security, thinking maybe people will stop with that thing, but if you get a long front end, it's in the building.
Can you just take a peek at it for us?
All right, if you guys want to move on.
Why not put them on an angle, put some paint so that long vehicles will be parked on an angle, they'd be out of the road, they'd be away from the building.
That,
No, he means paint. Oh, the cars are start parking like this
parking at an angle.
instead of like this. They give them longer length. Get out of the road.
But then the ball would need to be turned, or you gotta keep the ball straight?
Keep it straight.
Because then it's only gonna hit one tire. If it parks at an angle. See what I mean? One's gonna,
They hit one tire, they should know that it's
I
straight.
understand, I understand. Let's process that. Okay.
Let's hope it don't happen again.
Cemetery committee report, is there?
Nothing new to report,
Okay.
other than I have been selected to be representing the cemetery committee for the comprehensive plan committee.
Terrific. And solid waste committee.
We have an event Saturday for National Recycling Day, which is Friday, but we want to have it on the weekend. In the morning on Saturday, some information about how to cut back even more on our waste stream and save money.
Excellent.
What time is that?
Starts at 9.
Not thinking.
Can we make sure that's back on Facebook again, on our page?
I put it on today.
Thanks.
I don't think I had the times.
Okay, rec committee report. Becky, I bet you have a lot to report.
Yeah, we had our breakfast breakfast. We had a lot of, the community donated for that. We had 25 people, so we raised $250. Food City donated, Bucket donated, Carl from Dave Farmer, Ben donated $110, Martario $40, Sue donated a couple of pounds of bacon, Leanne $20, Tilton's donated some bacon, Aaron Harvey donated some eggs and English muffins, and an anonymous donor donated bread. And we had 2 students from the high school donate their time to help set it up, so they got community service hours. The night before, Kathy Lowe and Dana Dudley and I pre-cooked the bacon and boiled potatoes, and the morning of, Kathy Landry stopped by and helped, and Bailey stopped, and Steve helped. So we had a lot of help within the community, and I've had people come up to me and they would say they were glad that, we're doing something like that. Hope we do it again.
For a first time, that's really good.
I thought so too. We were hoping for at least 20, you get 25, so, we did buy way too much, just in case, so we still have some food here in the freezer.
Yeah.
For the comprehensive committee, it would be Bailey and me, said that she can't. We decided.
So you're gonna share the position and
Yeah.
you have your backup? Great.
And the Joy to the Christmas is coming up in December. Anyway, that's 3 Christmas gifts for the community. And I think Kathy Landry approved to add 3 other towns, right? Canton, Buckfield, and Sumner. So there'll be a lot of free gifts. We had more donations at our last meeting that came in as well. So we want going with that. And we're tentatively thinking of doing something on the ice in January.
Can people bring donations for that event to the town office?
Not to the town office, but they can contact us at almost last space, I think, right? But, can contact me, or there's have this flyer, it's also on the Hartford site. There's some emails where you contact me, we'll call them.
Okay,
Arrange. Coming right up on December 7th.
wow. Fast. Okay. And just to reiterate, we have American Rescue Plan funds that were designated to the rec committee and the beach, for the beach. So we need to figure out what you guys are gonna do with that money for the beach. Okay,
If anyone knows, we want to get some cement, tables is one of our big ideas, but we don't agree with, I've called around many places and, you know, you can special order them and they're like thousands, but like way out. You know, I think. But I know at one time we had gotten a brochure about it, we can't find it.
The metal work, I know you're trying to cut down destruction.
Yeah, so the cement meaning they couldn't be moved,
Oh,
you
right,
know,
right,
it was
right.
too heavy to move and not vertical.
Yeah.
can't float across the lake.
Yeah, some big tables with weeds are a big idea.
Okay, calendar reminders, the ordinance committee does meet tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The recycling event for National Recycling is on Saturday at 9 a.m. here. And the road committee meets on November 18th at 6 p.m. here. Is there any other meetings I've missed? Oh, great. Unfinished business, community action grant application. We have not gotten any bids, right,
For estimates, no. I have two people that said they will. The insulation person is supposed to come back, because we found how to get up into the ceiling. But he's saying whatever this material is why it will not hold the blown-in insulation. So it would have to be supported or reinforced with wood or something. So I told the carpenter person about that, but so we can show up and look at the building.
Okay. So for those that might be watching and here in the room, we're looking for people to do energy efficiency bids here on the hall, looking at either new windows, we talked about insulation, getting an energy efficient bathroom that could also encompass making it larger and handicap accessible, and possibly changing the front entry. We can apply for up to $75,000. So if you know of anyone that is interested in putting a bid on any one of those projects, I know Leanne is, those potential projects, I know Leanne is coordinating people to come and see the location. Yes, Lee?
Well, it's just an energy efficiency. I was outside a few weeks ago and I came up and noticed that along this side of the building, at least all the storm windows are still at least partially open. And I know that having looked at these storm windows a number of times, these older aluminum storm windows are incredibly hard to work, to put open and close. And I'm wondering if maybe rather than replacing the historic windows that sit here, if maybe replacing the storm windows with something super efficient might not be a better use of funds. Something that could very easily be opened and closed, because, I mean, some of these storm, that one's never been closed, because the things, you know, they become jammed over years. You know, they're probably put in some, maybe sometime in the 60s. They're not very good looking windows. Not being able to close the storm windows makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I know they were closed for a bit and then we got 70-degree weather and people opened the windows and opened the storms trying to get.
No, I mean, this one over here.
Well, I know that one we have a problem.
Well, you know, so you need one of them, but it's still, it's almost.
Absolutely, yeah. Any ideas on contractors that might do that?
No, that's something you have to look into. I mean, keeping the same storm windows in theirs. But, there's people that do that every day, we take this.
Richard?
Just a question. The town hall is not a historical building like the museum, then.
No.
Where you have to be careful what you change.
Correct, it's not on the historical register. Okay, and that community action grant is due in,
December, mid-December, and we don't have to have estimates with it, but it's
strongly recommended. Okay,
But look it over, I reviewed the last one and I have pictures, history of the town hall.
all parts that need to be closed, okay?
Can I put it on the next agenda after you all
Yes.
review it? And
Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is the MMA risk management property service update. So Steve, can we get those pictures that we talked about all the projects you've already done? So that I can send those in? Can I get them this week? All right, new business, audio and video for YouTube meetings.
So
That's in your packet.
In your packet, Jayleen's been working with Austin Associates. I haven't really been a part of it. They're trying to, we do have some money in our budget, but we have the $4,000 grant that has to be used by the end of the year.
And how much do we have in our budget for this too?
Well, we budgeted for a new computer, but then my printer, my motor vehicle printer died, so that was $150 and something else might die, so I don't want to spend it all.
Right, yeah, we still have a long time to go.
I think we had 17. Yeah, we have 1,700 left in office equipment so far.
Right, but we have 4,000 in a grant.
He couldn't come to the meeting tonight. He has an idea of what we need. I haven't really been a part of it, Jamie.
Right, I know it's been a crazy couple weeks with the elections and auditors. Yeah. Richard, just to jump in on this grant that, this money we're looking at using would also include audio-visual, as you suggested.
Well, it's the audio that's the most important thing, microphone.
Yeah.
Video, I don't know what you're looking at for that, but you're not gonna get everybody out here to
No.
walk up to the podium to talk on the microphone. I'm not probably gonna, and I don't think Bill's gonna. So I don't know what you're talking about when you say video. The video now shows you and Leanne. And if you want whoever's speaking,
Leanne says, no, it doesn't, but you do
Yeah.
see way over there.
yeah, you're reversed. If you want whoever's speaking to show up on there, I don't know how you're gonna do that. Because you would have to have something that turns over the audience, because half the people here, I don't think are gonna come up and use the podium. So I don't know how you do that,
Some of the folks have been saying they can't hear people in the audience.
but it's the audio that's the thing.
Right,
microphone.
so the microphone, but. Well, I wanted to let you know what you were addressing that.
Oh, I know you're working on it. Leanne, I think Leanne told me she's got somebody that knows how to get them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of quotes, we got a
And
bunch of stuff.
that'll be a big help, because like it says on here, at home on YouTube, you can't hear hardly anything you got. Now, tonight, I can hear you better. I don't know if it's the cold air or what. But last time I was here, I could hear you. I couldn't hear a darn thing she said. I couldn't hear much of what Kathy said, and I couldn't even hear a whisper out of Leanne. So, now tonight, for some reason, it seems better. I don't know why. Maybe people are sensitive to it and are speaking up, right? That could be. But anyway, microphones, the school board has a microphone for every member, plus one for whoever's out in front speaking.
Yeah.
And they have 12 or 14, and no reason that we can't afford 5. Four up there
We're working on it.
and one for
May
the
not all be
audience. Can't
purchased
be
at
that
once.
expensive.
Well, it may not all be purchased at once, but we're gonna try to.
You know,
get it
as
within
far
the-
as video goes, I was, that, like I say, I don't know if they're gonna be able to do much with video.
Well, we're trying to encompass everything with our two new, it's a desktop, right?
Desktop and a laptop,
Desktop and laptop, so,
laptop for meetings, and then the committees can have that one.
so the plan is, once we purchase another laptop, this laptop will clean it up and make it so it's actually faster, and then the committees can use that, like the road committee, to log road information, and is that a hand? Yeah,
Yeah, Dave and I have a couple of monitors, I don't know if that's something that you can use. Monitors, I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't need any in the office, we have plenty.
You have plenty, yeah. So nothing new.
okay. Yes,
I
Richard?
got 3 laptops at home, and I think the newest one is about 10 years old, but if you wanna borrow it, you can.
That's very sweet. I have one that's about 10 or 12 years old too. I know, exactly. Is there any decisions we need to make on this tonight? Yes, no?
That money has to be used by the end of the year, so.
Okay,
He wants to build a desktop, I say just buy it from the town, like we always have.
right, but he knows what works.
Mm.
He knows what's work, and he works for the towns.
Yeah.
Too, Austin does,
Yeah.
right?
So this money has to be spent before the end of the calendar year?
Yes, Peggy?
If you're talking about getting a new desktop, and you talk about how much storage we need, I mean, we're gonna do expanding anything, I want to take that into consideration.
Yeah. Austin Electronics has worked with other towns and understands some of our challenges right now, so should be good. That's why he wants to build it from scratch and not have us just go buy one at the store.
You're talking about our IT console, is that what you're saying?
This gentleman from Austin Electronics, yeah. Okay. You put that on the next agenda? So let's just get her done. Because, I mean, if we decide what we're gonna order, we should just go ahead and order it as soon as we can.
But I need your approval for anything that's next, either.
Yeah. Well, that's why I meant, like, next, can we get him to come next meeting?
Yeah, we asked him to come tonight, but it's like short.
Well, next meeting's next Tuesday. If he can't do that, then,
Okay.
then the next meeting. Okay. It's pretty extensive. Thanks to Jaylene for pulling all this together, too. Okay, new business, road repair. What is that one about?
So. It's always on there, but I don't know what you're gonna do with Ben's contract, but we need to add the grader prices and the skid steer prices on here. Is that, sorry to bring it up, but. Decided which way we're gonna do this.
Well, we didn't even want it to go that way. I'm not sure how it got that way.
I don't have contract. I can't get bill without paperwork.
Yes, I understand that. So before we rented a grader, we should have had that in place. That's why we have a road commissioner. That's why you're the town clerk. You need to say that.
I didn't even know we had a grader until I saw it going by.
We voted right here in the meeting.
I know, but I didn't know. You're gonna blame this on me?
No,
That's
I'm
not
just
her
saying. What I'm saying is, you know the rules, and the town had agreed to rent the grader. I just don't understand why.
I didn't approve anything.
You were right here in the meeting taking notes.
I know. I didn't approve a check. I got a bill. Every bill I get ready for you to approve or not approve. I don't make the decision. And I know I need paperwork.
Absolutely, the auditor made it very clear we needed paperwork and receipts on everything. And policies on buying and policies on spending. So,
I didn't approve anything. I got an invoice, I got it ready, it's up to you to do what you want.
we did. Thank you. Okay, BYOB application, Bedard. I don't mean to point you out. So you're doing it, can you stand up just for a second? Tell us about what's going on. So exciting.
We're having a free Thanksgiving dinner here at Town Hall on Thanksgiving Day at noon.
Thank you so much for doing that. Both of
We're
you.
hoping for more people than last year, because we have so much extra from last year. So anybody's welcome to come, you can bring food, you don't have to bring food, but please come hungry, you can come.
Excellent.
BYOB part.
Well, she needs a beverage to get ready while she's
It's stressful,
preparing.
you eat that much food.
Because last year we couldn't.
Well, somebody brought a bottle of wine last year, and we
Couldn't open
had to put it away,
Oh.
just in case.
Right.
So this year we have
Prepared. So I don't have a problem with signing that application. Is it in here or? I have to vote? Yeah. I'd like to make a motion that we, agree to the, BYOB for Thanksgiving Day. Did you save the bottle of wine from last year?
I did.
Nice.
It's aged now.
It's worth even more. So I made a motion. Okay, all in favor?
Same place to sign, I think it's on the back of that first.
And what time does it start?
At noon.
At noon, and runs till?
Probably about 2 or 3.
We might have, well, we have them left noon, people want to hang out and talk, like cards and who knows.
Awesome. Great. Next is LD 2003 grant.
So the state has been contacting me about, do we need help with complying with LD 2003? And I asked her if we could visit, that we're working on the comprehensive plan first for the growth areas and whatnot, and can we use the money towards that? She said no.
And Peggy, you had talked about this, right?
Okay, so you could maybe use it when we're ready to do ordinances, but that's gonna be 3 or 4 years from now.
Yeah, so it said in order for towns to keep the grant or the funding, we need towns to complete the ordinance revisions process by June of 25.
So it won't happen. Because we have to do the comprehensive plan
First.
last time, it took 5 years and we haven't even had an initial meeting yet, since I brought it up in February. So we're
just planning on returning the funds.
already 10 months before we
What did we
have a
get?
meeting.
What did we get?
4,000.
They just sent, for LD 2003?
Or was it 5,000?
We needed all the committees to pick their person. And I think we have, every committee has now asked
Well,
the
we're gonna have an initial
person.
meeting at some point?
Yeah,
I think it was
We haven't
5,000.
scheduled it yet?
no, I thought we were gonna do that tonight, because I think every committee is now met.
Oh, okay, all right.
Last year, I think it was, we forgot to do that last time, so we tomorrow. I'm gonna go last. Is it what's the name? Daryl, excuse me, Daryl.
Okay, next tax abatement for 2018 and 19, R7 Lot 12. What's going on with
So
that?
these are small amounts of taxes that have been hanging around, they sold their property. I'm not sure, it's $26.60 and $26.81. They just been, their people are gone, didn't pay it, the new owner's not gonna pay it.
And what's the total?
$52
$52.
from 2018 and 19.
Okay, so, R7, is that water?
It's Brook Drive, that little covered bridge. Yeah,
Down by Lenny's?
yeah.
Okay. I'm all right with abating that. They're all gone, it's been resold and. Yeah, it's not that much. What do you think? Tax abatement, 52?
Yeah, $26.60 and $26.81.
This was owned by the previous owner.
I think she's already done that. They've just gone, they haven't paid it, and the new owners aren't gonna pay it.
When I bought my place, there was a couple of years back taxes, and I got a lien and didn't pay it.
I wasn't here in 18 and 19, someone didn't do liens, I guess.
Is that, how does the people here for 10 years and nobody knew?
No, it's up across the bridge.
Oh.
And those old owners are all gone, never got a tax lien for it, because they were out of there. Okay,
We have a choice.
we are filing liens appropriately now.
Yeah.
So glad to have you back. I'm not sure you always feel that way, but we do. Do we need to sign something? I'd like to make a motion to accept the tax abatement for 2018 and 19 that was never served back then, and on R7 Lot 12 for $52 and some odd cents, $52. Got a second, all in favor? Okay. Next on the agenda are road sign and posts purchase.
I just gave a list to Emily, see if I have it right, and I need permission.
These are the additional ones that Jim and Emily said we needed.
Okay, 2 Mahomes.
I didn't want to have that.
Okay. So do you think we need 10 posts?
Yeah, we're still gonna put up the giant plate.
And the brackets? Do you think we need more brackets or the,
Yeah, we
yes?
need more of the four-way bracket. And probably more of the bracket, the short bracket.
You're gonna have to try and look at the calendar.
Yes. But everything else is good.
Other than that.
Yes,
Question, is there another town fund one for the other end on 140?
It was still there when I looked, last time I went down.
The one that where 140 in town fund?
It was
The
on
street
top-
sign, not the stop sign, the street sign.
It was on top of the stop sign the last time I was there.
Oh, it's on the top of the stop sign.
Excellent. So
Now, I was hoping it would get down more on the corner so you can see it coming from the road at nighttime, because you can't see the turn.
Yeah.
And the reflection of the road sign kind of helps guide you to that corner, because it's so hard at nighttime to make that corner. Is there some way we can get a left-hand turn sign on Stetson Road to show where Town Farm Road is the left-hand turn, so the reflection at night as well? You can see where the turn is. You know what I mean, the one with the line with the left turn sign. You know, it has the.
Yeah, I know which one it is.
At the top of the hill.
Yeah, so you can see where it
You know
turns
it's coming
from
from
at nighttime, especially when you have guests come to your house at night. There's no.
Can't find it, yeah.
Can't see it till you go out. You can get into those.
We could do
There's
those.
one on the other end.
Oh, there's one on the other end?
Stetson coming up the hill, there's a right-hand turn for that, but not the left-hand turn.
Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, it shows. Yeah, I'm sure. One that's showing the left-hand turn.
Yeah, it has a straight line.
It's telling you that there's a left coming right. Okay. Do I need to make a
Isn't
motion?
that sort of sign for the sort the state puts up?
No, secondary.
No, Stetson. I'm talking about Stetson Road, so it's town road.
And Stetson Farm can take a left on the town farm. Stetson Road.
If it was on 140, then yes, the state would take care of it, but this is on town road, so.
Can I get one from my side road too?
Where it crosses. Road comes up.
Well, you know, I wouldn't want anybody to miss the turn. That's why I'm not having any.
Don't see the dumpster.
That's right, that's to the dumpster. Are people missing the turn because they don't know the road's there?
Hard telling us, they didn't miss the turn, they never made it to my place.
Well, how many left-hand turns are there in town? We're gonna need one everywhere.
I'll tell you what, quite a few. Well, why don't we have something to change things all right?
I think there's probably a lot more traffic on Town Farm. Long road, lots of people. At this point, why don't we have the, how often do we order signs?
You're adding a bunch of them now.
Yeah.
We've ordered once this fiscal year. Besides ones we've done from our building and business.
Yeah. Do you want to order the left-hand turn sign?
You have this in your pocket, right, Joe? Were you thinking more?
Oh, that's how I'm sorry.
Want to know what the budget is?
Some places are something.
Think about the over budget now. I don't remember ordering so many signs in the previous 2 years.
Look in your packet, I have receipts for the last 2 years. There's no amount, we spent for 476 so far this year.
476 so far this year? So what budget does that come out of? I know.
Oh, sure, yes,
Most miscellaneous here.
evangelist for 21 years now, it's time
This is
to.
great.
Yes, she like this. Really, really smart, but this is crap I know about her, that's not very nice.
Oh, the invoice doesn't match the budget because there's some
Thanks.
signs on there.
Oh, gotcha.
There's not supposed to be any
Excuse me?
There's not supposed to be any side conversations while we're up there trying to work.
Oh, sorry. We'll look outside the building too.
So it looks like each sign runs around, $30, 35.
Yeah, depending on the size.
47, 36. Freight was 62 for the last one.
Because they're heavy.
But I priced out Auburn for these, and the econo sign was way cheaper, even with the freight.
It's way cheaper.
Econo signs.
Yeah. And you're gonna order brackets and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no throughway for Perry Road, no through trucks.
No, she just told me that she found that sign. I thought I had already ordered it, so I crossed that out.
Okay. I was gonna say we need it for both ends, wouldn't we? Oh, they're already on the road.
Buckfield has one on their side.
Okay.
So 9 signs and 10 posts. So 9 posts.
Actually, there's 10, 11 signs, plus what I left turning. There's 2 mahomies.
Two mahogany. It's on all 4 corners, on both corners of Bear Mountain Road and the other side.
What I was told.
Brackets.
Probably should get more posts.
Well, it's good.
Okay. All right, we're ordering these. Do you need a motion? I'd like to make a motion that we order these signs that we just discussed and brackets and posts that everyone wants.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Appointments and resignations. What's on my here?
I can do this after the fact. There's something for me to do.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we accept Lou Brown's resignation with regret
From ordinance and waste.
from ordinance and waste. Second that, somebody?
Submit.
All right, all in favor? Okay. And for, Board of Appeals, we have our recommendation from the Board of Appeals that they already have people, that have shown an interest, Tom Rodriguez, and Tony Pirichetto. And so I would like to accept their wanting to do it, and the appeals board asking that they do it. I'd like to make that motion.
So you want to appoint both of them?
Yeah.
The comprehensive plan review committee? Right?
Yeah. Okay. Do I need to vote on that too?
Did someone second?
Yeah, second. All in favor? Okay. Training. AvCog Training Day, we just went, it was a good day. Leslie Boness went, and all three of us went. We had some good topics, talked about, really, we did talk about the weather, talked about weather and the changes and what's happening to communities and storm damage. Also talked about housing, Peggy, and different opportunities for new housing. What was your topic on? FEMA. And Kathy and Leslie attended the FEMA training and how to apply, and it was a good day. Annual meeting that day too, and made a nice note in there. Leslie Boness had done the notes from last year, and there was a thank you to her. So. Next is review correspondence, and I know we have several things we'd like to sign, but Leanne made it very clear, she thanks all the election officials, all the volunteers, or what do you want to call it, the clerks? Yeah. All the ballot clerks and everyone that helped and volunteered, and thank you for volunteering. I tried to sign your time card, but she said no. Everyone that brought food and was very supporting, it was a long day, and Leanne, you made it happen, thank you very much. Everybody. So, you want to sign these now or after? It's quite a few. Oh, great. All right, agenda items for next meeting. I know we talked about Austin coming in.
Yeah, the ARPA funds, the CDO tree issue, community action grant, and then Austin. I'm gonna send out an email. This is for the next agenda, but for budget request by the end of the year.
Yep, we also need to put on the agenda, Darrington Road, easement acceptance, right? We have to accept it? So we'll get that on there.
About this, big and excuse me.
Well, we haven't decided about the grader, so I agree with putting the skid steer on there, but the grader was supposed to be running by the
Yeah, I
town.
meant the skid, just says skid steer.
So I don't mind adding skid steer to Bim's contract at $80 an hour. Is that rain or is that the fan? Can we just write it down here on the original?
That's not the original.
No, I know, I'm just asking if we could do that.
Oh, right here. Just initially or something.
Put skid steer $80 an hour, and your initials.
Did Jim's Rent It send you a contract to sign for the town for renting equipment?
Yeah.
When I was a road commissioner, the board of selectmen wouldn't sign it. That's how I ended up renting all the equipment back then. You know, taking liability for the equipment.
Just initial right there. Oh, and let me just put the date. So basically, we have no contract with anybody for a grader rental.
I haven't seen contracts since 2023 early. That was when they signed.
For a grader.
Oh, no, greater no.
Okay, is there anything else for next week's meeting? So next week, we're meeting on Tuesday because we moved this meeting to this Tuesday. I do want to make sure that we get a scheduled date for a comprehensive plan, because I believe everyone but ordinance, even though they met, they forgot, and they're meeting tomorrow, so we'll know who that is. So I want to get a date set for a comprehensive plan meeting. Tonight.
I didn't bring my calendar.
Are we setting it tonight or next?
I'd like to set it tonight, so that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Great. So can we look at that? Do you have the town calendar? Well, we know when everyone's committee meetings are in here.
But it's rented for some heats.
Do you want to go get it?
It's up to you. I think the 20th, it's December 20th. Let me go get it.
We want to know when the building's rented. We've got several private parties renting it, so we want to make sure we don't double book and then have to tell everybody no.
That woman that came from Babcock, she's going to send us a list of materials. I don't remember getting an email back from her, other than the one I had on.
Erica, I just saw her last week and she said she was mailing us stuff, but I know we haven't gotten it
Yeah, I
yet.
was going to say, I don't think I got an email from her.
I will send her a follow-up.
I'm just thinking about all the list of stuff that I have.
Follow-up kit. So I'm thinking a Tuesday or Wednesday, probably a Tuesday, December 10th, because we don't have a meeting that night. But we'll see what they have on the schedule. Oh, I like your hat.
Thanks, I do too.
So while we're waiting, Susan, there's a lot of information, like, you know, how to do the comprehensive plan, all the criteria. Do you want all those documents printed out for the members of the committee? Or do you want to just send people emails so they can look at them online? 'Cause most of the stuff is all online. There's a lot of background information.
There is. I think if we review what's gonna be there and let them know that we're sending them an email with everything in it.
Okay.
But to print like 55
Oh, I know, that's
pages
what I was trying to figure
for
out.
everybody to
You know,
have.
she didn't send us anything now, but, you know, I have those, 6 documents.
And you've got a lot of the prep work done.
Right,
That some hasn't changed and some has changed, so. Yeah, we want to be as productive as we can be and get the first committee understanding what's going to be included and. What about December 10th? It's a Tuesday.
Are you still having those meetings on every Tuesday?
No, I don't think we're going to need to.
Did you all agree on that?
I do.
So it's free then.
December 10th?
Okay.
Anybody in here? Ken, December 10th,
What time?
6:30?
5.
What's that?
Oh, I thought she said 5.
I don't think people are gonna be out of work early enough. We'll get that list of everybody together and get an email out.
You've only appointed 2 people, plus.
We have to, right, but each one of the committees have now sent people.
Okay.
Do we need to vote them in from here too, or?
Before the meeting.
Did they do the road committee?
We can appoint them either at next week's meeting or the first one in December, which is the 5th. They know who they are. Hey Peggy, are you happy we got the meeting on date? All good.
So what should I prepare? Just the last comprehensive plan, what else are you gonna need, anything for the first meeting?
Well, we're gonna
If you
hopefully,
make a list of people and send out the email, and I get a copy of it, then I could take that and send to people the list of information, like, make sure they know about the 2 comprehensive plans that are on the town website already. And then there's a whole manual about how to do a comprehensive plan, and then there's criteria what the state is looking at, so that people know what they're doing. And then we have a list of the topic areas, because basically what we're gonna do is we're going to, choose somebody who's gonna lead the whole thing, but we'll have all the topic areas, and we're gonna divide the topic areas when people are on the committee, we're gonna research.
But why don't we have that information here, so it's on paper at the first meeting?
Well, that's why I was asking, should we do it electronically or should we be printed out? That's why I was asking, because there's a lot of information.
because it's hundreds of pages if you print the 2008.
So you're gonna have everybody looking at through their phones?
No,
at the meetings?
I was hoping they would look at it ahead of time if we sent it to them. That's what Peggy's saying, that she emailed them all out to the people.
Right. I mean,
About all the information from Erica.
Right, because Erica's stuff hasn't
But she sent me
arrived.
stuff that I already knew, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I already researched
Most people don't have a printer, or don't have a printer with ink in it. Right?
I bought a new one, so I'm all set.
Okay. All right, the rest of open session, we got that date on there. Somebody have something for open session? Yes, Lee.
Yeah, I went onto YouTube to watch the road committee meeting the other night, and it never came up.
We use the computer for the RSMS program instead of turning on the YouTube. It could do both.
They had documentation and stuff to put in, they were trying to update road files.
And they couldn't do both because, they couldn't live stream it because.
They had the laptop doing road work is what it's doing there. What did you call it? RM?
RS on that
Road
laptop.
service management system.
Which they had,
And
Plenty of
so why couldn't they have been on streaming?
because they were using the laptop for updating the files, updating road service management.
So in other words, it's the same computer, it's just.
Yeah.
The reason why we need another laptop.
Right, absolutely. And one that's faster, we need to clean up the one we've got and make it so that it's usable and not so slow. Yes, Karen.
The last summer meeting I came to, I think it was the 1st or 2nd week of October, I was gonna bring this up, and I didn't have all the information I needed. But back on June 20th, you guys said you're gonna provide a priority roads list to the road commissioner. Do you guys have a date when you provided that? Because it's attached to the September 17th meeting minutes, and then never received one via email. I asked Ann an email, she said, she told me it was attached to September 17th. And I guess the point I'm making is, if you guys are holding them all summer long to this list, but you never received to the 17th of September, that's an issue. You can't tell them, You get this, you never gave it until September 17th. Can you provide information where you either email some sign that you received it? Because right now, the only information that states that he got it is September 17th.
I have 8/21. The road committee handed it to him.
So 8/21, so 2 months after you said you're gonna provide it?
They were developing the list first.
Okay, but in previous settlement meetings, you said he had all summer to go over that list, and he did it 8/21. 2 months after you said you provided.
We set it up so that Pratt Hill Road was the
No,
top
no, no,
priority
we're not
road.
talking about Pratt Hill, we're talking about the priority road.
Yeah,
Are you
which was
keeping
given
that?
to him 8/21.
But you said that he couldn't spend any money unless it was on a priority road list. and-
No.
Yes, exactly what it said, read the minutes.
We asked that all work be pre-approved before he does it.
Correct. And you're gonna provide a priority road
Focus on
list.
the priority roads.
When was the priority road list provided?
8/21.
8/21, 2 months after. So you can't tell me, or tell Ben, he's waiting all summer, if you didn't give him the list of roads till 8/21. Right?
I don't remember telling Bill,
Of course you don't remember.
he didn't
You
do
don't remember
anything all
anything that
summer.
happened then. You have one way.
No, yes, I do.
You approve the
Is there
minutes.
anything else?
No, you approve the minutes before every meeting, okay? I'm just bringing up a point. You're lying to the town.
I'm not
You are
lying to
lying
this
to
town
town.
whatsoever. The
You
road
never provide the
committee
list.
developed the list, and as soon as it was done, it went to them.
I'd like you to read the minutes and report back to me next week, because I'm telling you, I read through them, and it's not accurate.
Okay,
Do the minutes correspond exactly with the video?
Does, I don't know, I didn't compare the meetings to the video, but half the time, the video is, when did Zoom stop and the video start for YouTube?
In July.
Yeah, so I have to get the file for all the Zoom meetings from the town office to do that.
yes, Kathy.
If I recall, we had several meetings where Bill was asked to come to meetings and he didn't show up. And in fact, there was a special Saturday meeting that people gave up their day to come to the town office and have a meeting for BIM specifically, and he never showed up.
I'm sorry.
I gave up my Saturdays.
Hold on.
Specifically.
He was in the hospital.
He was not.
Vicky was first and then you'll be second, Richard.
I'm just gonna say as a physician, people don't usually go back and work for 6 weeks after open heart surgery. I mean, he be gone out of the hospital like a couple of days before the.
He came home from the hospital.
On that town meeting day, I know.
The day before the holiday, which was the day down.
Right, so, you know,
So he couldn't have.
I don't know how it transpired, but you expected a lot of him for somebody who just got out of the hospital with open heart surgery.
That's not
I
true.
researched this to find out exactly what the
It's not
recommendation.
true.
July 8th, BIM came to the roads committee meeting, and we were all doting on it. Jeremy, you were there, Lee, you were there, Lenny was there, I was there, and everybody was trying to help him. He wanted to help, and if you give me time, I will dig out the notes from that meeting. So he wanted to be here, he wanted to work, and we wanted to help him. So to call us liars and that we're not working with him or didn't want to help, that's not true.
All through August and September.
I will dig out my
and
July 8th minutes for
You
you.
said you provided a list, but you did not provide a list. You just said it yourself. So you lied.
Well, it's not up to the road committee to provide the list anyway.
No, they made the recommendations.
That's right, to you,
But
not to them. So them giving them a list isn't even the order that it's supposed to go in.
We gave him that, he got that list right from them at this meeting.
we were
August
trying to get road work done. and we
June,
were trying to
June,
work
July,
together.
and August was all very good months for me. I had some good days and I had some bad days. And you people have done nothing but be on my back and want to argue and fight with me.
That's not true.
Is there anything else for the concession? Yes, Paula?
Jim is the one who wants to argue all the time, and all of you
I'm
guys.
sick of arguing over my job. The road committee is not my boss.
No, they're not, but they are to
Well, then,
recommend,
figure it out. They're not my boss.
but they are.
No,
They
they're not.
only control the money.
They're not the
Well,
boss.
not the boss, he's an elected official.
and they are over.
They're in charge.
This is out of order, this is out of order.
All right, is there any other new topics? Hold on, is there any more new topics we need to discuss for open session? Richard, you're next.
Well, did I understand you to say that whatever Jim is gonna do is supposed to be pre-approved by
To
the
spend,
select board?
yep. for
That is
priority
the
roads.
stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Our
I
auditor,
know
our
what one of
auditor,
those.
hold on. Our auditor even stated that we need to have pre-approved purchases.
Stupid.
Jeremy, you're next.
Fisher says that he's gonna complete Pratt Hill Road. His estimated end date is Friday the 15th.
Yeah, estimated end date.
I've measured everything today, and he's around 10,000 in materials that he's put on that job. And his paperwork here says he plans on putting 30,000. Is anybody paying attention to that?
Absolutely. I get an update from him, at least twice a week.
Okay. So there's still gonna be another $20,000 worth of riprap and other material put on that road before he's done and paid. In 3
So
days.
he has a contract, and we are gonna hold him to the contract, just like we hold everybody else to the work that they're supposed to be doing. He has to meet the spec sheet that we gave him, that the big committee put together, and he's doing a great job. It looks
He's
really
actually
good.
not doing a great job. The riprap's higher than the road in several places. The culvert that they put in yesterday or today goes across the road like this and then turns under the road like that, and it should be straight. It's not centered in the road. The downhill side has at least 4 feet in the woods, and the other side's almost flush with the side of the road.
There's being way more riprap put over there than what needs to be. It's being wasted in areas that don't need that. And you're more concerned with making it look pretty over there than what you actually need to make that work. That's what Jeremy and I did when we had given the estimate.
I really wish you'd give it a real estimate.
You're more interested in making it look pretty with some new stone. Why did you dig out all the riprap I put in 2 years ago?
So there
We
was,
spent thousands of dollars putting riprap in 2 years ago. He dug it all up, hauled it down to the main.
I recall Mr. Bragg last week saying that they don't use riprap, so how come all of a sudden now
We
we
use
have riprap?
riprap
Okay.
into the culverts and areas that
we're gonna
need.
let Mr. Pitcher follow through with his contract. And he's received an award for water
Everybody.
mitigation. He has been doing a great job. The community is very happy down there. I stop by at least 3 times a week, and people stop when I'm there and are very pleased with the work he's doing. So,
If he was actually following his contract, he would have started on October 11th instead of.
If they realize how much is actually being wasted over there on riprap just to make it look pretty, that's what you're more concerned with. You're wasting town money.
all right, I would like to, if there's any new topics, then I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. I want to thank everyone for coming.
I'm not done yet. There's a check dam, when you go down that road, he attempted to make a turnout, and the check dam is higher than the road. The water's gonna hit that, and it's gonna run back in the road.
I mentioned that to him.
I'm going over there tomorrow, and I'm gonna lay down a screed on the road. It's gonna make a straight shot, just like the wind's gonna do, and it's gonna show how much of the riprap's gonna be in the ditch the first time the road's plowed.
Is that Mahoney Road?
Mahoney Road's the same. We've been doing this around here for 30-something years, and you've hired somebody who hasn't done it for
I
one
mentioned-
year.
He's not even a legal drinking age.
I was over there one day and I mentioned that to him about the berms he's putting up with the riprap. That I looked and they looked higher than what the road did. And I mentioned to him that I said, if we have a heavy rain come down over the hill, the water would more likely probably flip up over them berms and wash the road out. And his remark was,
That's the bottom end of the culvert.
The one on the private property with the driveway goes up,
oh,
yeah,
the big one.
It's going right down the town ditch. It's on the left going up the hill. Half of the culvert's already, half of the volume of that culvert's already gonna be restricted by that riprap.
I mentioned it to him about the riprap, the berms that he's got going halfway down over the hill, and I told him that it's higher than the road. And that if we get a heavy amount of water, the water will be jumping up over that and it'll wash over to the wash road up. His mark was that, well, it won't be that way once I bring the level of the road up high is where it's supposed to be, even with the tar.
Right.
So that's what his remark was, and we'll see.
So point being, he's not done yet?
He's not done yet.
Okay.
Richard,
You wouldn't be having this discussion with me.
Great, too.
Estimate doesn't mean.
Doesn't that all some of the grade?
They're gonna do it in a week.
Some
We're
of
gonna be two now.
Right,
So
well, thank you.
estimates are estimates.
Thank you all for coming. I hope, yeah. Well, the road commissioner, as road commissioner, could be supervising, yes.
Yes, he should be, but.
But he doesn't.
It's not his job.
Yes, it is.
That road is not his job.
Meeting adjourned.
Supervising
He didn't hire that company.
Supervising it as road commissioner.
He didn't hire that job. It's up to the road commissioner to hire who does the work.
No opening those articles. You know, you're criticizing everybody, but you left a big dump right in the middle of Town Farm Road yesterday, full of rocks and crap.
Don't worry.
Yes, it was. You want me to show you a picture? I took a picture.
I saw you. It's green lawn.